think we have a goodie in the mailbox today. And that means we get to work on Go Man Go a little bit. So this is a little device that should make our life at the track quite a bit simpler. So I've been quite impressed with some of the electronic features available on the Hellcat. I think I've said before, the technology in the car is one of the things that really drew me to it. And companies like Z Automotive have come up with things like this to further enhance those technological advances. This particular device is Z Automotive's Burnbox HC. This device allows you to have a line lock electronically, so you push a couple of the steering wheel buttons and it will actually lock the front calipers, leaving the back ones free, making it much easier and less wear and tear on your car to do a burnout at the track or just at a car show or some other exhibition. It will also do a light show, which I've never really fooled with, but the other big thing this one will do is on the Hellcat, it will run the intercooler pump and the fans, and it will actually cool the supercharger down in between rounds. And it's got a built-in voltage regulator, or voltage meter I guess I should say, so that it'll shut down the fans and the intercooler pump if it detects low voltage on the battery. There's another one of these items, it's called a taser, and it goes a couple of steps further. So if you have an RT or maybe a Scat Pack, I believe the taser will actually enable some of the higher end version of the car, like SRT model features, sport mode, some things like that. Even down to the V6, I believe it'll do that. You can find out more information at zautomotive.com. The guys at Z Automotive update their firmware pretty frequently, so you want to hook up your device to your laptop or your computer and then use their utilities to make sure it's up to date. And if you're at the latest version, you'll get the following message. And if you're not, it'll automatically download and update your device. It takes about 3 minutes. Now, since I wanted to use the Burnbox HC, but I also data log every run at the track, I came into a little bit of a dilemma because both of them connect to the OBD2 port in the car. And I thought my solution would be cheap and simple, so I picked up this cable online. It was like $8, and it basically is a splitter. This goes into the OBD2 port, and then my accessories, being the Burnbox and the Trinity for data logging, plug into these two. The problem was I had all this extra cable hanging around, and it ended up kind of getting in the way when I was trying to go down the track, so I wanted something a bit more elegant. And it turned out Z Automotive had exactly what I needed. This is a little surprise I'll show you later, but this is the main item. It's called a double bypass. And it turns out that 2018 model, at least Challengers and Chargers and Dodge vehicles, they've locked out direct access to the OBD2 port under the dash. So they came up with this. This basically plugs into a module in the back of the car, giving you a second OBD2 port, and now you can directly access the car's computer again. Installation is super easy. They have these factory style connectors on them. There's 2 of those that'll plug into a little module, like I said, in the back, and you get power and ground, and then you've got your OBD2 port ready to go. Now what's in here is the big deal for me. If you've been watching my videos for long, you know I like things to be factory-like, and that's exactly what this allows me to do. There's a open switch panel on the Hellcat steering wheel, and I believe these might be, or the location on the steering wheel might have been for adaptive cruise control originally, but since my Hellcat doesn't have that, they're just blank buttons in there that don't do anything. They're actually not even buttons, it's just a cover. And what these are OEM style buttons to replace that blank. And I'm going to show you how cool this will be in a minute. And as with most things anymore, they send you to a website to get instructions digitally. And to get access to the module, you want to take out the trunk liner, which is just some Velcro, and then it just lifts out. Now this is the hardest part because you have to fold yourself up to get in the trunk. But here's the box we're trying to get access to. Let's move the padding out of the way. Use a flat blade screwdriver to gently lift up on the cover. Careful not to break the tab. Not enough, no, a little bit more. There we go. And now you can see we have white plugs in a green connector and green plugs in a white connector. So you just want to line up. They actually did the color coding for us. So green will go where the green plugs are, and white will go where the white plugs are, and any available slot will work. You just plug it in. And to make this easier, I went ahead and disconnected the plug from the plastic box. And that way I can get easier access to the connector. And remember, green goes with green. Should just plug right in. Let's see, it goes that way. Now we'll just put the plug back in place. Lock that in. Now we can do the white one. Got more room on the side where the white is, so I think I can get it without unplugging it. See, it goes, I believe it goes this way. That's all there is to that part. And with the wiring tucked away in the box, we're just going to reseal that. And I did go ahead and put a zip tie around this little area where the tape is to hold that cable in place. And now the hard part's finished. And next we need to access the fuse box that's behind the battery. And it says we're looking for fuse number 37. And if we reference the top of the fuse box cover, we get kind of a map to follow. You'll see this little section right here says 31 through 38, I think is what that says. Yeah, 31 through 38. And there's even a tool included in the top of the fuse box cover to help us pull the fuse. We can get out there. There we go. Like little pinchers. And I'm curious what fuse 37 is. It's a 20 amp, so I know we're looking for a 20 amp, and it says it's for the radio. Okay, that's the first row. We know it's not that. I believe it was next to last was 37. Yeah, there's 38, so this would be 38. We're going to come back. That's 37 right there. Use a little tool to pull that fuse out. There we go. You could probably do that with some needle nose pliers, but if you do, be very careful not to make contact with anything in here if you're using something that's metal. That's why I use the little tool, because it's plastic. Okay, grab the ATA circuit that came with the double bypass. Take the 20 amp fuse that you removed from the fuse box and put it in the open slot of the double bypass. And now this will plug into the slot that you took the 20 amp fuse out of, slot 37. Okay, so we got our 12 volt source wire, which is our power wire for the double bypass, ran nice and neat. I did put some corrugated loom on it and then hid it kind of underneath the battery tray. The idea for this is to be stealthy. Here's the ground wire. It's also, I put some 1/4 inch loom on that. It's going to attach to this 10 millimeter ground nut right here. And that's really all that there is to the connections. I went ahead and put the little tool back in, the fuse remover tool. And we can go ahead and put this cap back on the fuse box, but I'm going to wait and do that once I know I can get to that 10 millimeter bolt okay. I've got the double bypass right there, so I'm probably going to run a zip tie around it just to secure it in place, and that way I can get to it if needed, but it's well hidden and secure. I've got the ground wire hooked up now. I'm just going to tighten the nut back. And to make things as neat as possible, because I like my wiring neat, I ran the wire along this bundle and I actually opened this up. The one side will open up. It's just a little tab here and here, and you can actually lay it in there and then just snap it back down and it'll look all factory. And there it is, tidied up. We got our fuse box cover back on. Burnbox HC is plugged in. There's the OBD2 port for the double bypass. I've got it zip tied here and here just to make sure it's secure. And looking in the trunk, you'd never know it was there. And now just put your trunk liner back in, you're finished in the back. So if you're okay with remembering the button combinations on the steering wheel, you're done. The Burnbox HC or the Taser, if that happens to be what you purchased, will work just fine as is. However, I picked up these chiclets so that I could do something custom with the steering wheel and I wouldn't have to remember those combinations anymore, so I'm going to show you that next. So here's that blank area that I was telling you about. You can see what the buttons would normally have. And I think, like I said, I think these were for the adaptive cruise control, but mine's just a plastic plate. And once I found out that Z Automotive had these covers, or these buttons, I thought, man, that's pretty slick. And there's actual electronics behind this little plate to allow these to become buttons. And then you can custom program them. And installation is super easy, I think. This feels like it might just, yeah, this just pops out. So there it is. That's the cover we just took off. I just grabbed on one edge and just wiggled it. Your tabs are kind of in the middle, so be careful with those. And you can see there's buttons behind it. Hopefully you can see that, but there are buttons there. Okay, I wanted to give you a better shot of the back of the plate so you knew what you were working with when you take it off. You can see those standoffs right there. Those are your tabs. So there's one at each end. So if it plugged in like that, you got one at the bottom and one at the top. So just to be aware of that so you don't break it when you take it off. And all I did was grab on one side and just gently pull them. When it got loose, I just popped it out. And each individual button has two tabs, top and bottom. So you'll have to line it up and just kind of wiggle it into place. And be careful, you obviously don't want to break it or break your tabs. Oh. It's a little tricky. Okay, so I figured out the problem. Not only do you have to worry about the tabs and lining those up, but the back of the button is keyed. As you can see, those indentions, the top and the bottom, they have to line up with marks on the button. So I'm glad I found that out. Again, you don't want to force anything when you're doing this kind of work. If it doesn't go on nice and easy, you're probably doing something wrong, just like I was. Yep. There's two. Go ahead and do the third one. Again, it is keyed. That should be right. All right. So there's our buttons installed. Now that we got the buttons installed, I'm going to show you how to program them. Start by flipping your car to accessory mode, but don't start it. I'm going to dismiss the on-screen information using the arrow key. And we want to get to audio because the taser and the Burnbox both give you information through the audio screen. So there we go. Okay, so you want to hold the left arrow on the steering wheel and then select the button you want to start programming. So you got light show 2, 3, 4. We're going to scroll through this stuff because I want line lock. Line lock, there we go. So the first button is programmed to line lock. The second button, I'm going to program to cool down. You just keep pushing the button and it'll scroll through everything. Cool down. There we go. Let go of the buttons and it should program. And with the buttons programmed, I'm going to give them a test. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the car to run so that I can test the intercooler pumps. Okay, so we made the second button the intercooler cool down mode. There's engine fan on. I hear it spinning up. There's intercooler pump on. That works. There's fan plus intercooler pump low, high, and cool down off. That is pretty cool. Nice and easy. Gotta love technology. Now let's go test the line lock. Okay, we're set up to test the line lock. I've got the dash set to audio just to show you that when you activate the line lock, it'll tell you line lock is on when you have it set to the audio screen. However, you don't have to have it set on that screen. You can actually just go back. I usually leave it on vehicle info. You can actually do it from there as well, and you'll get the ABS service indicator letting you know the line lock is activated. All right, so I'm gonna pump up the brakes. going to push and hold. Now we're going to give it a go. So it doesn't require traction control to be turned off or anything. It just automatically works as a line lock, and now I've got a line lock on my steering wheel. You gotta love technology. So that's how easy it is to add a line lock to one of these modern Dodge Challengers. That Burnbox HC from Z Automotive is a pretty trick little device. They're reasonably priced, so I highly recommend one if you spend any time at the track. I actually just got back from a track day recently, and having that on the steering wheel made things so much easier. I didn't have to remember any button combinations. I didn't have to worry about holding the brake too hard and not getting the back tire spinning fast enough for a good burnout. You don't have to worry about putting the or turning the traction control off. So that's one less thing to worry about when you're in the staging lanes, and then remember to turn it back to sport or whatever you want to have it at before you make your pass. So all in all, a very easy device to install and makes things very convenient at the track, so I highly recommend it. So that's all I've got for you today. I'm going to go out and turn some fuel into noise. We've got a beautiful day in Middle Tennessee. It's about 75 degrees and sunny. If you want to see some more projects, be sure to check out my website, www.speedysgarage.net, and don't forget to hit subscribe in the bottom right-hand corner. We'll see you out there.